You let me know when we are live and we will begin.
All right, we should be good.
All right, good evening, everyone. The hour of 6:30 having arrived, I will now call to order the special Common Council meeting of today, this Thursday, March the 25th. I just want to do a request to staff to make sure that we can get both Kay Croteau and Paul Vornholt the link to make sure that they can get on, as well as this one item may require their input on this agenda item. If we could go to the first order of business, I guess first and foremost, Alder Tate, have you been informed of any absences?
I received no such requests.
Okay, thank you very much. Then after the call to order, our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. If everyone please rise and join me in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for that. The first item before us is a committee report. This is an item that came through Finance and Personnel. And so Alder Taft, who I don't know if I see her just yet.
Alder Taft did note that she might not be able to jump back in as quickly due to working with a child, with one of her children.
Totally understood. It is that time of night. I guess, who is the vice chair of F&P? I apologize.
Alder Young.
Alder Young, then. I would ask you to do the report if you wouldn't mind. Have you requested this for separate consideration?
I have not, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Please, if you would, read the item.
All right. Finance and Personnel Committee report, item 0203-21, subject communication sponsored by Mayor Mason, requesting to reclassify the position of Chief of Police from grade S to grade T on the compensation structure. Recommendation of the Finance and Personnel Committee was to approve. Fiscal note salary range for grade T is $114,088 through $146,681.60. Funds are included in the 2021 budget.
All right. And so we are still waiting for staff to arrive to give the report on this item. I don't believe HR Director is Croteau is on yet, nor is the City Administrator. I guess I would ask for members of the F&P committee who were present for the presentation. Alder Young, if you wouldn't mind, if you can, from memory, give sort of your recollection of the presentation on the reclassification of this position, if you would. Otherwise, we can stand informal for a minute until the staff is able to overcome our technical difficulties.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I can give a brief background from our discussion. We had a discussion in the Finance and Personnel Committee that related to the salary of the Chief of Police. Fortunately, this increase, according to Administrator Fisher, has already been budgeted for. And the reason for the increase is so that we can attract the most compelling candidates to the city of Racine. And to make sure that we're attracting the best and brightest to come and serve our community.
Great. I think that gives the size and shape of it. Are there any questions or comments from alders while we have them here? Alder Lemke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the questions I would have is, obviously, I wasn't at the F&P meeting, so I was curious how this aligns with the Carlson Detman salary study, and if that's kind of in alignment with what they had suggested for positions like this.
Great question, and the timing on it is perfect because Kate Croteau has just joined us, and so I will defer that question. Although Alder Lemke, if you wouldn't mind, because I don't know exactly when she came on, if you could repeat the question for the HR Director who's just joined us, that would be great.
Yes, absolutely. So I was just asking if this aligns with the Carlson Detman salary study or how it aligns where it might fall on that spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. So we worked within the structure that Carlson Detman created. So we're just looking at the position to move it up a grade instead of changing the whole system. It's within the system. And I did speak with a consultant from Carlson Detman on this move.
Thank you.
Great. Alder Jones, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Your Honor. One question, and I guess this would go to the HR person as well. Can you tell us what we are offering the candidate and see where this would fall in the percentage of this tier, of this level?
I mean, we don't have an accepted conditional offer yet. So, I mean, I don't know, Mayor, is that something that I'm more than comfortable sharing once he's accepted it, but he hasn't quite yet. I think that's going to be tomorrow.
Okay.
But,
Thank you.
but
Share
if the
that.
HR director could just, I know it was implicit in Alder Young reading the item, but if you could just remind people what the range in that T schedule is, just so
Yeah.
Alder Jones will know at least what the range is, so we can at least give that much information.
Sure, it's about 114,000 to 146,681. That's the range for grade T.
Alder Perez.
you.
Thank you, Alder Jones. Alder Perez.
Thank you, Your Honor. You know, I'm a very strong supporter of our law enforcement and public safety officers, as well as our firefighters. I find this a little troubling. We have a lot of issues with morale, officers claiming that they're going to leave because their benefits are not good, or, you know, whatever, the process here. The current chief of police does not work under that structure. We're going to get a new chief of police. However, I find that an increase of a possible $30,000 or so at this time, considering we're cutting back on everything else, including eliminating many police officer positions, is unreasonable. Having been a police administrator myself, I find that I would have taken a different position even if the pay wasn't as great, just so I could have chief behind my title. Early in my career, I was offered, or I was a finalist for a chief's position. They then just paid only a little bit more than what I was making in a state department that I worked for. So I find this troubling that as we come into a new chief, maybe tomorrow, that this is being proposed. And whether the conditional offer falls within that parameter or not is really irrelevant, because it is, I think, a little bit unreasonable for us to up the numbers, even though it's in the budget, because we keep eliminating positions because we claim not to have any money. And if we claim not to have any money, and we're gonna up a position $30,000, and I understand that all the other major positions are in that category of S to T, or of T, I guess. I just don't find it that this would be the right time. I think that if in the future we come into a better economic situation, we can go forward and say, hey, you know, now at this point, maybe we can move some of these positions. But with all the eliminations of positions or the non-hiring of positions, the hiring freeze, to go ahead and raise a standard $30,000. I know $30,000 doesn't seem like a lot, but it just seems unreasonable. And I think it would be bad as well for the morale of the officers, because they're saying, hey, what, we can't get, you know, a nickel raise, but the chief gets a $30,000 raise possibly for just being in that position. And so I'm voting against it. I know in the past, I've always supported the police department, but I think this particular decision is poor at this time. I think it can be done in the future, but I don't think that it's reasonable right now. And that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Perez. Alder Peterson.
Yes, Katie, I was wondering if you could tell me, my understanding is that this job was posted at a 140 to 145 range, so we can anticipate it being in that area.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so we can automatically say it's gonna be over 140.
I mean, that the range is over 140 from what I understand. I believe it was advertised at 140 to 145, like you said.
Okay. And I guess I'm not sure who could answer this question, but why it was advertised at 140 to 145 when it wasn't that pay grade of a position?
So I don't know exactly what, I mean, the advertisement was recommended by our consultant that we hired to do the executive recruitment, Baker Tilly. I believe it was just an administrative error on my part. I was actually on maternity leave when the budget was passed, and I just failed to change the position from an S to a T. So part of that was my fault. And I also, so we just thought it would be a best practice to bring it to your attention through this format. And normally it would just be part of the budget process.
All right, I second many of the sentiments of Alderman Perez, and that there's going to be a lot of people that are a little peeved that they're losing benefits, their insurance getting worse, they lose their payouts. We bring somebody in from Cincinnati who's never spent a day here in their life. He was making $113,000 before this. He's going to get into the 140s. I also understand that he's asking for housing allowance because his spouse isn't coming. I'm not sure if that's true. You probably can't tell me. So I imagine that would add another 12 grand, 15 grand on top. Whether or not that's accepted, I don't know. I can tell you that the individual also applied for a job at Fairfield Township that was paying $91,000. He wants the chief's name in front of his name. He wants the title. The 140 was not necessary, and it's disrespectful to Chief Howell and all the other officers. Thank you.
I can respond to just a piece of that. So I think, I don't know where the figure is coming from, but I believe the top of the current range, grade S, I should say, goes up to about 138,000. And this would move it up to a maximum of 146,000. So I think I don't do math in my head, but I want to say it's maybe like a $9,000 difference. And also I believe that there's no step increases for non-union employees this year as well.
Correct. That's my point. I mean, and I don't believe Chief Howell was paid at the top end of that, the S scale either, is my understanding. So I don't know why you couldn't have just brought him in where Chief Howell was, and then down the line, if he gets comfortable here and he chooses to move his family here, then up the grade. So anyway, thank you very much. I'll be voting against. Thank you.
Thank you. Alder Perez, did you have your hand up for a second time? Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I did. So would it be a violation of our own ordinance or our own budget, which in effect is a legal document, to offer someone an amount of money that is not currently authorized?
I'm not the city attorney, but no conditional offer has been accepted. So, but
Okay,
I
yeah,
mean, I would feel, obviously we're in front of you to request authorization to go up to that amount.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if the law that we have on the books right now does not even permit that amount of money to offer someone beyond that, would be a violation of our own policy and our own ordinance, because when we authorize a budget, it becomes the law for the city. So what we've done in effect, it violates our own laws. I guess after the thought or after the fact, if he does accept this offer and we don't approve this tonight, then we would have to rescind the offer because it violates our policy. And so I don't suspect that we're as a whole going to not approve this, but I think that in effect, we've started a process that we are not, that we can't really do. We can't offer a person a salary that does not comply with the current standard. If we do that, we're violating our own policy. I see that Attorney Letney has signed on, and I'd like to get his opinion on it. Thank you.
Yeah, Alder Perez, he was in the on the list as being here. I moved him up to participant so he could hopefully shed some light on the question you're posing. I don't know if, oh, there he is. If he's unmuted, yes, he is. Attorney Letney, could you please comment?
Sure. So it wouldn't be, it's not a violation of law to negotiate an offer and do that. The Common Council did by resolution several years ago establish the pay scale. And the Common Council may by resolution amend the pay scale. So, and this is the process for doing what you're describing, Alderman Perez. So if the Common Council approves this, then it isn't a violation of the city's law.
Yeah, but my point, Mr. Letney, Attorney Letney, is that we did something that was proposed when it was not authorized. And if the person accepts, if the chief's position, if he accepts it at that range, and let's say we don't authorize it tonight, would it be, wouldn't we have to rescind that offer and offer a different amount because it doesn't follow within our budget, or it doesn't follow what our own budget is, which in turn, when we approved it, became law?
Attorney Letney?
Well, right now, as the HR director said, the pay grade for the chief goes to $138,000 or something. So you are
It's not
correct.
145.
Right. If the Common Council doesn't approve this, it would be inconsistent with the resolution the council has previously put into place.
Okay. Does being inconsistent qualify as an illegal move on our part, or just something that we need to correct so that we're in compliance with our own policy?
Well, it doesn't, I would hesitate to use the word illegal. And I also hesitate to negotiate a contract over, during a council meeting that's broadcast over Facebook Live. But it would be inconsistent with the city's policy as exists today to pay more than the pay scale, which is why this is being requested. So can get the chief that the city needs.
Alder Jones?
This question is, the top of the scale currently for the S is 138,000. If for some reason this doesn't pass tonight, do you think he would still accept 138,000 and maybe with the promise of passing it later?
So I just want to caution, again, we're not negotiating the next chief's contract at a council meeting. And I think if we go down that road, we are risking starting the chief search all over again.
Okay.
So I just want to caution everybody on that. I think it was explained why the administrative mistake was made. People can accept that or not accept that. They can like it and vote yes. They can not like it and vote no. But just to be clear, we are not, as a committee or as a council, going to negotiate the terms of an offer. And just as a reminder, the selection of this process is not like normal administrative managers where we might have more say in this. The selection of the chief is left entirely to the Police and Fire Commission, and they have made this selection. So I just want to be sure that people understand that.
Thank you for the clarification.
No, it was a good question, but I thought it was an important clarification to make. Alder Perez.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was not done previously, and I didn't appreciate being cut off without even recognizing that there was no response to my question or answer. With that being said,
So Alder Perez, let me just stop you right there. So usually people ask a question or a series of questions when other people have their hand up. We try to move it around and let other people have a chance to speak as well. So I'm happy to come back to you. But as chair of the committee, when I see other people raising hands, as you ask several questions, I will sometimes go to other people to be able to do that. Now, most of the time, people are limited to asking or speaking on a topic twice. This is your third time. I'm happy to let you do it because you have strong feelings about it, and I want to extend you that courtesy, but nobody cut you off. If you have another question for Mr. Letney, or you have comments you want to make to the rest of the council, you may now proceed.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. When comments are made personally, I understand that there's a cutoff rate of 2. But I was asking questions for clarification, and there is no cutoff rate for that, as we were told in the past. If this is a new policy, then I apologize. But thank you for letting me speak now. I have a disagreement in the sense that I don't think we're negotiating an offer. We're negotiating a policy that we have on our own. I think those are 2 distinct and different issues. And because that's the case, I don't want it to be misunderstood. I understand what's being done, but my concern is that we're not even in compliance with our own rules at this point. And to do something like that really, again, goes back to not being true to what we agreed to. And that bothers me. Again, it's a process that we've talked about before. If the man accepts, wonderful. You know, he went through all the rigorous process, and I can appreciate that. And if we allowed him to go to T, then fantastic. But what we've done, we've gotten ahead of the game, and that's where I have the issue. But thank you, sir, and I will let other people respond. Thank you.
Alder Tate II. And
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Alder Pete, I see you've got your hand raised. I'll come to you next after Alder Tate II.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to kind of clarify, I think Alder Perez did know that there's a separate policy discussion happening here, and that's right. The policy is, should the chief of police grade be moved from S to T? There's a reality that has been a search for a police chief. There's a public interview process. The FP, or Police and Fire Commission, has made their selection in terms of who they're recommending to hire, or not even recommending, but like offering the position to. And then there's our process of what do we actually budget for the chief and where is that scale? So I think it's important that we distinguish the process that has happened in reality, we know exists, versus this conversation about whether we move the police chief's position from S to T. And I think if we can focus our conversation there and the pros and cons of doing so, which I think Alder Perez spoke to in the beginning, in terms of, you know, how this might look or how it might affect morale, or, you know, the current fiscal challenges that exist. That's one conversation, but I just want to caution council members to not conflate that particular conversation with the reality that does exist, that there has been a search for a police chief. The FPC has chosen who the next chief should be. And that is a separate conversation from this one. So talk about the pros and cons of grade S to T and whatever makes sense right now, irrespective of the search piece, because whatever we choose here, that's what city staff is going to have to work with, regardless. So, and they'll have to deal with the outcomes of our choice at this time as it relates to the other piece, which we're not discussing because it's not our purview, it's the FPC. That's just what I want to kind of say to characterize and couch the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alder Pete.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I appreciate the comments from my fellow alder people, but being one of probably the newest member of the council, I think I get to ask one. And I guess I need clarification from personnel. It's my understanding that we're basically talking about the ability for personnel to increase an offer, or have the ability to increase it by $8,000. Isn't that what we're really talking about here? Because
I will ask. Yep, I'll ask Alder Croteau, or I'm sorry, Director Croteau to clarify that. But yes, I mean, I don't have. It's somewhere between $8,000 and $9,000, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Director Croteau?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is correct. So a grade S goes up to essentially $138,000, and a grade T goes up to $146,681. So that would, like I said, it's not an offer at that level. That's just up to that would be.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, because basically, again, with respect to what the fellow councilman have mentioned, you still have the ability, regardless of what happens tonight, to raise it based on your discretion anyway. So I just want to clarify that we're not talking about a $30,000 difference here.
No, no.
That's the
No.
whole point that I wanted to make.
It's
It
a,
may be different from the current chief, but you could still offer it irregardless of what happens here, which to me makes a difference. It kind of clarifies. Because you're not really asking for 30, 40, $50,000. You're simply really asking for the ability to raise it by up to 8,000. Not to, again, I'm not trying to talk about the negotiation piece, but all I'm saying is that you already have the ability to raise it up to minus $8,000.
Correct.
So again, you're not talking about 30 or 40, and I respect the morality of our current force and all of that. But again, you have the power anyway. So here we're only really talking about $8,000. Thank you.
and Director Croteau, I just, if you want to confirm Alder Pete's assertion there, I think that might be helpful.
Yes, he's absolutely correct. So I do have, as it stands right now, I have the authority to negotiate up to the top of grade S, which is up to about $138,000. So this would simply give me the ability to go up to $146,681. Not that I would go to that level. That's just the top of grade T.
Okay. Other alders, comments or questions? Alder Taft.
Thank you. My understanding also from Director was that some of these, there was an anticipation market adjustment when budgeted for the position. So it's not wildly out of budget to go from grade S to grade T for the purposes of negotiation, because that was anticipated in this budget. So it's not like we're exceeding where we thought we were going to be with this budget. This is well within budget range, is my understanding.
Yeah, from what Kathleen Fisher, our finance director, indicated that this is in the budget at that level, that the position of police chief is.
Thank you for that.
Alder Lemke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just echo some of the concerns that I had about, how it will seem to the folks who have not gotten adjustments if, the grade S is already within the Carlson-Detman study, because as of late, the only reason we've given people increases besides, like a very small amount was because of the salary study. And so, increasing another grade when it's already within the, salary range, when other folks have been asked, not to increase budgets or what have you, is something I worry about.
Thank you, Alder Lemke. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, so the clerk will call the roll. When she does, you will need to unmute yourself. When she calls your name, please vote. And again, this is the motion, to be clear, is to move the classification on the pay scale of the chief of police from S to T. Alder Tate the second, did you want to make one more comment before we cast our votes?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess to reorient the conversation once again, back to the policy discussion. The question that we're asking ourselves today is the chief of police a lower or equal position to the finance director, the city attorney, the commissioner of public works? Because that's what these salary tiers are about. And ultimately, that's the question that we're answering. Is the chief of police a lower tier or an equal tier to those? I think the move determines that it is an equal tier to those other department heads in terms of salary and compensation. To not do that would, to imply that it is not. So, take that as you will, but that's the policy discussion that we're having. And that's kind of the reality that we have to deal with a lot of positions when we talk about both market as well as authority and responsibility in those positions. So all those are balanced. if we're taking this just at face value in terms of whether the police chief position is at the same tier in terms of responsibility, market value, and impact on the city, I would say yes, it should be definitely not less than those other positions that are also in tier T. But that's, you can answer the question differently if you so choose at this time. I'll be supporting the move from S to T. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Tate. Again, the motion before us is to reclassify the chief of police pay range from letter S to letter T. You will need to unmute yourself when the clerk calls your name, so please be prepared for that. Clerk Coolidge, could you tell me who the first vote is tonight so he or she could be prepared?
Of course, tonight Alder Levy is the first voter.
Right. Alder Levy is the first voter. So when the clerk calls your name, please vote as you wish.
Alder Levy,
Aye.
Alder Jones,
Yay.
Alder Tate,
Yes?
Alder Santiago,
No.
Alder Peterson,
No.
Alder Horton,
Aye.
Alder West,
No.
Alder Young,
Aye.
Alder Pete,
Yes.
Alder Land,
Yes.
Alder Perez,
No,
Alder Taft,
Aye.
Alder Mikma,
aye.
Alder Lemke.
No.
That is 5 noes and 9 yeses.
The motion carries. Thank you very much. That exhausts our agenda this evening. Thank you very much for everybody's patience in being available after a robust and good conversation after the committee of the whole. Alder West, at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
All right, move to adjourn.
All right, is there a second? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion carries. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Good night.